People who have visited the US, what is your WTF America story? Las Vegas, like 2 minutes from the strip is the ghetto, such a contrasting view of abject poverty and overindulgence just minutes away from one another. Everyone was so nice. Why are all the meal portions so big? The bathroom stall gap is real. Everyone hates the stall gap. Moved to the US with my family in the mid-90s and started high school my junior year. Back home in Norway I had played basketball for a few years, enjoyed it and thought I'd try out for the school team, thinking it would be like home. Practice once or twice a week for an hour and a game against Anther school once in a while. Yeah, not so much. Quickly realized sports is a huge deal in the US. I made JV. There were a couple other JRS on the team so I didn't sweat it. The first practice went on for 2.5 hours and I was pretty nauseous after all the suicide running drills and numerous other exercises. Realizing I hadn't asked too many details beforehand, I asked a teammate how often practice was, and was promptly shocked to find out we had practice 4 times a week for 2.5 hours plus 2 games per week, and that was JV. Suffice to say the coming months were quite exhausting and didn't leave much time for anything else. We did place first in our state though, and I got whipped into shape pretty good. So yeah, you Americans don't mess around when it comes to sports. We may not like to exercise for health's sake, but we do not lose at anything. I was in Florida and the amount of car wrecks in front yards was baffling. As long as it has headlights, seat belts, and a license plate you can drive it in Florida. I saw a guy with a piece of rope instead of a driver's side door once. So those weren't car wrecks, they were that person's main method of transportation. I went to downtown Philadelphia during a 5-hour layover, ate a cheesesteak, then witnessed a terrible and completely random midday fight on the street. For me, It's Always Sunny has been proven the best depiction of Philly. Me and my girlfriend visited from England and we were walking down the street when a homeless guy passed us and said to me, "Brother, if she ain't your sister, then you're doing alright." Wasn't a homeless guy, that's just good ole creepy Eddie. Going to an NHL game seemed like I was at an eating event. Also 9 chicken McNuggets costing about $4.10 and 20 costing $4.50. Not sure about the exact costs but you get the idea. Keep up the good work on that English. I'm from Scotland. I worked customer service in college. This young cashier comes up and says she cannot understand this guy and he is getting mad, speaking Russian or something. Behind her I hear, "Damn it woman, I am Welsh." I got trapped in a McDonald's in Chicago on my first ever visit to the US because people were protesting the minimum wage. They barricaded everyone in the store. Was stuck there for something like 3 hours. My boss visited the US recently on a business trip. He kept sending me photos and videos of how huge your trucks are and how many Ford Mustangs he kept seeing. He was giddy like a little kid in all his videos. I'm Australian. Went to this a few years ago, in a store, don't remember which, and get to the cashier. "That's a weird accent. I'm Australian." "Oh, no way. Do they really have that big boot like in The Simpsons?" Disparaging the boot is a bootable offense. I live in Michigan. Husband is from the UK. His family and 2 best friends flew over for the wedding. We had a combined stag night bachelorette. We all went out and partied pretty hard. Toward the end of the night we were at a small bar in my tiny town and the locals were treating our British companions like celebrities. Overheard a girl tell my husband's mate, who is black, "I didn't know they had your kind over there." I'm going to fly to the US in a couple of weeks for the first time. Already had a WTF moment. I had to fill out some personal stuff to get into the country. Questions like, are you planning a genocide in the USA? Yes or no. Are you planning a terroristic attack in the USA? Yes or no. I mean, if someone really is planning something like that and succeed, what then? He lied to us. How could he? He said he won't do a genocide and now look at that. I get that they can charge you for lying on an official paper, but what's the point? He committed a genocide. 300 years jail and 1 month for lying? Or death penalty for genocide and 1 whip on the butt afterwards for lying? Near the end of a vacation to the US I was feeling a bit guilty from eating so unhealthy. I ordered a salad at a restaurant and it came with complimentary ice cream. You cannot win against America. I was in NYC for New Year's Eve 2006/07. A guy next to me overheard I was Australian and grabbed my hand and told me he was praying for me due to the loss of Steve Irwin. Someone near us overheard and also joined in, so I, an Australian atheist with little care for Stephen Irwin, found myself in the midst of a small, but very enthusiastic, prayer circle. One summer some friends and I road tripped from Pennsylvania to Utah and back, 10,000 km in 2 weeks. Good times. We're from Canada so we're pretty used to Americanisms. However, we found the stark contrast in billboards in the Bible Belt to be amusing. Every couple clicks it alternated between Jesus saves, confess your sins and XXX girls girls girls, next exit. Seeing scripture on the back of transport trucks was pretty bizarre too. And the aggressive preachers on the radio. And the giant 50-foot crosses, plural. I mean, it's called the Bible Belt for a reason, but I didn't really appreciate the scope until I was there. American are unreasonably nice. Road trip 15 years ago, car breaks down on the freeway. 3 cars stop. One guy fixes my car. One guy orders, and subsequently pays for, the part to fix the car and third guy, his brother-in-law delivers it, all in about 30 minutes. Then we all go out for dinner and they buy me and my buddy dinner. The guy who fixed our car emails his cousins in Colorado. A week later we're having dinner and staying the night at their place. I hear WTF stories about America, but when I think of any of my WTF America stories, I have had nothing but amazing experiences. So, being Indonesian, world's largest Muslim country, and male, my dad always gets taken into a special room for interrogation every time we arrive in the US. When I happened to be with him, I got tired of waiting on my own. So I went to one of the officers guarding the area and asked how long it would take for my dad to get out. He went, "Oh my god, honey, you're all alone?" And suddenly everyone was rushing to get my dad out as soon as possible, kept asking me if there was anything I needed, and kept telling me not to be scared. Obviously that made me actually nervous. What the frick is happening? Then I found out Americans just suck at telling Asian ages and apparently I looked 8-12. They thought they made my dad leave a child all alone in a foreign country. I was 16. Some of mine were, WTF, why is there so much land everywhere? WTF, why is everyone's house so big? WTF, why are the roads so big? Explains why the cars are so big. WTF, why is fuel, gas, so cheap? WTF, why are strangers talking to me? WTF, why is fruit so expensive? WTF, how can I get this much meat in a meal and it still costs less than $10? WTF, why am I getting ID'd, carded, everywhere? WTF, no, to another person. I'm not Australian, I'm English, damn it. When I was living in California back in the late 90s - 2000, the news came on and announced that one of the stories would be NATO stuffs bombing Kosovo. I turned the news up, only to have to sit through the more important story first. Out of season rain in LA. I was talking to a girl years ago about the US. It was around the 4th of July. I'm British, she's American. She wished me a happy the 4th of July. I told her we don't celebrate that in the UK. She didn't understand why. Just got back from Miami. Told a woman who was walking her cat that my girlfriend and I thought her cat was cute. She then told us she is not a prostitute, and nor was the cat. The portion sizes and prices of soda. Less WTF America, more WTF why don't they sell this in the UK? State Fair of Texas. They were serving fried butter. A friend of mine lived in Virginia for some years for school and the locals, it was an average sized town, not some hillbilly crap hole, asked him if we had cars, electricity, internet or fridges in Luxembourg. Mine was on the flight home, we just landed, and I overheard the following exchange. "Mom, where are we?" "Amsterdam, it's in Germany." Well, at one point in time she wasn't too wrong. This one isn't really negative, but still amazes me. I'm from Sweden. and visited New York a few summers ago with my family. We had just gotten off the bus, and my stepsister was feeling really nauseous from the bus ride. She walks up to a garbage can and takes a few deep breaths, trying to not vomit. Suddenly a guy in a suit with a briefcase walks up, asks if she's alright, tells her to wait there, and comes back a few seconds later with a bottle of water for her. Just a complete stranger. That's not something you'd see in Sweden. I went to the US this summer to work for my uncle's company in LA for 8 weeks. I'm currently studying at university in the UK. I decided to fly up to San Francisco to visit my cousin for the weekend and flew from LAX. After my return flight, I was about to exit the LAX American terminal when all the police around me got their guns out and started shouting about a shooter at the airport. Chaos erupted around me with people everywhere throwing their suitcases to the floor and screaming. I had no idea what to do. I had just bought a tea from Starbucks and I didn't really want to throw it on the floor and run about, so I followed this stampede of people through the terminal. I found a room to hide in with 20 other people. We all lay on the floor being quiet, trying to stay calm. People all around me calling their loved ones, saying their goodbyes. It was insane. I didn't have any service on my AT&T phone, so I just sat there drinking tea, contemplating what I would do if a gunman appeared. I realize now it was the most British thing to do at that moment. We were in there for 25 minutes when we got told it was clear. All of this happened because the police heard a loud noise and there was someone dressed as Zorro, which raised suspicions. WTF America. They have bank drive-thrus. They go to the bank like they go to McDonald's. One summer when we visited some friends out in Tennessee and we're eating fresh deer he'd shot that afternoon off his BBQ, drinking beer and sharing differences in culture, at which point out of nowhere he pulls out a pellet gun and shoots a squirrel from the top of a phone line. He then proceeded to cut, wash, clean and cook the squirrel. Tasted like chicken. I have no doubt that if there was a global apocalypse it might take Tennessee a few years to notice, and only because they stopped making more Bud Light. The food. Holy crap. Me and my sister would occasionally share meals because there was so much of it, and there'd still be loads left behind. The flags, man. The flags. I used to joke with my mom that if my career doesn't work out I'm just gonna open a flag shop in the US. My dad lives in America, and I visited him for the first time in 10 years last September. First thing he did was take me to the local police gun range, where I was taught how to fire a fully automatic assault rifle, a semi-automatic rifle, and a variety of pistols. They didn't even know my name and they put a gun in my hands and told me to shoot at a target. Best freaking day ever. Visited Miami a few years ago with a friend. We started a brief conversation with the hotel porter and told him we were from London. He goes, "Hey, I know some British slang." Throughout our stay, whenever he saw us we were greeted with "Hey, what's up wankers" and "Good morning you miserable sea." It was hilarious. Back in the 90s I was in San Francisco. In Australia I had never seen a beggar, but there were heaps of them in San Francisco. Anyway, I was walking around, and this beggar comes up to me shaking his can full of coins in my face. He never said a word, just shook his can in my face. So I said to him, "No thanks mate, I've got enough coins of my own." Stayed at a hotel in New York and the TV had only one program, commercials for medicine, and the style of the TV spots was outrageous, as if they were selling magic pills. Deep fried butter, really, Iowa? Here is the conversation I had with a cashier in a Dunkin' Donuts in Ohio. Her. "Oh you speak funny." Me. I have an accent. I'm French Canadian. Her. "What do you mean?" Me. "Well, English isn't my first language." Her. "So you're not deaf? Because you speak really slowly, and in a weird way." Me. "It's a French accent." Her. "Okay, I understand. Okay, it's a Canadian accent. Weird. I mean, they weren't wrong. It is a Canadian accent." First city I came to in US was to LA, and went to Malibu Beach with a friend. My first reaction was I was told there would be fat people. Everyone were fit as frick. I was ashamed to take off my shirt. Being 20 not being able to buy a beer. WTF. All the cars were huge. When I came back to my hometown the cars seemed like toys in comparison. I went to Walmart once. We are so sorry. I was in LA 2002, went into a petrol station in Inglewood on my way to West Hollywood. There was an old Korean guy behind the counter and one middle-aged white woman shopping. 2 minutes after I walked in, a lowrider with 5 black guys rolled into the station. Now I'm black but I'm from London, but these guys looked gangster as heck and were all black. 4 of them walked into the shop while one was pumping petrol. The moment they walked in, they started swearing at the old Korean guy, cussing him out. This went on for half a minute. Me and the old white lady looked at each and both thought this place was going to get robbed. The old Korean guy was standing behind the counter and had this calm look on his face the whole time, and as soon they were done swearing he just came out, said, "You black soul eating mother suckers need shut your big lips, cause I don't understand one word of what you just said." Everything went quiet and I started to crouch down thinking this where I'm going to die. Just as I started to hide, all the black guys burst out laughing and were falling all over each other, and the old Korean man was laughing as well. Turns out this how they greet each other every time they come into the shop. Me, the old white lady had the exact same look of relief on our faces. It was like scene out of Rush Hour. Have a few. I lived in the Midwest as a kid, but I am Australian. I had a woman who genuinely thought we took a bridge to get to America from Australia. I had a teacher who would not let me into the classroom in the morning unless I said "a dingo stole my baby." I was in grade 2 and had no clue what it meant. This same teacher would make me recite the Pledge of Allegiance. My sister showed up on the first day of school to find the discipline corner was Australia, with a badly drawn map that didn't include Tasmania, because that was where the convicts go. And lastly, the men are people, children and adults, asking me if we rode kangaroos. I nearly got run over in Daytona Beach. Why the frick is anyone allowed to drive on a public beach? Walking into a supermarket and seeing the endless cereal lanes and the amount you can choose from blew my mind. Also, when I was working in a camp over a summer, I was devastated to see that the people who ran the place would actually choose to use throwaway dishes, cups and cutleries instead of normal ones. I don't know if that's typical, but it sure hurt my eco-protecting side to see all the waste just one day would generate. Had a good time though. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.